I want to buy a copy of Bone Storm. Here's 99 cents.
Allow me to summarize the proposed transaction. You wish to purchase Bone Storm for 99 cents. Net profit to me, negative $59. Oh, please take my $59. I don't want it. It's yours.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and I don't know, there were some shenanigans on social media that I saw today. Apparently, Dynamite Comics has been accused of thought crimes. They've been working with the enemy, according to some people in the comic book industry. And here to talk with me about that is my good friend, Brian Ball from Rags. How you doing?
Hi, Wes. Thanks for having me back on. Yeah, this is a very interesting conversation to have during the COVID-19 era.
It kind of falls up. We know, like, last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, Mags Visaggio, I guess, was monitoring. I guess it wasn't EBS, it was Nerdotics live stream. The Dynamite CEO went in there and published a message, which he had done on other channels that weren't quote unquote CG, trying to get the word out about his publishing company and just kind of as a show of goodwill to the customers. And she called him out on that, like, he's supporting the wrong people. And now I guess Cecil, who's associated with Ethan Van Sciver's YouTube channel, but he also has his own YouTube channel. I guess he went to Dynamite, which they have a program to do this. He's paying them money. So basically he can make his own covers and sell old issues of, I believe it's Vampirella and Red Sonja, but with his covers on them. And then he can go do an Indiegogo campaign. Or I believe there's another option where he'll still create the cover, but they'll like kind of co-promote it and do the campaign together and make money together. Is that what's happened?
Yes, that's exactly what happened. And I've been trying to get on that program for a while now. But yeah, that's exactly what happened. I don't understand what the cry out is about. Dynamite's done this before. They've done this for other creators. We've seen Mindy Wheeler do Vampirella covers. We've seen Ethan Van Sciver do Vampirella covers. Like, Dynamite's been very
Star
liberal.
Wars girl.
Yeah, Star Wars girl's done Vampirella covers. So why all of a sudden is it a problem when Cecil does it? Oh, just because he hangs out with the wrong people. Right now people don't have the ability to choose, who they can and cannot do business with. I honestly think this is a smart move by Dynamite. They see that there's a creator with a niche sort of group and they can monetize that, and that they're doing that to make money for themselves during these trying times. That's good for them.
Yeah, it's not like they're not. They didn't sign a deal to where they're distributing Cecil's comic books. They're letting Cecil take their comic book that they've already made, put his cover on it, and then get it to new people that probably haven't read it before. If anything, it's a smart move on Dynamite's part. First of all, they're getting money so they can go pay other. Hey, who do you think is going to get that money? Probably Mark Russell, Gail Simone, people that are working with Dynamite Comics. And then they get some distribution to new customers that maybe will come back and read some Vampirella or Red Sonja. If they go and read the interiors, they end up liking it. It's a win-win. Like, I don't get it. But apparently, you cannot consort or do business with people that people like Erica Schultz. Not even sure who that is. I guess she teaches at the Kubert School. There's a lot of people out there that are very upset about this. There's even one retailer, Ryan Higgins, who is kind of influential into the industry. He's no longer going to stock Dynamite Comics because Dynamite was willing to take money from somebody that he didn't like.
Well, again, business is business at the end of the day. Whether or not you like the person, as long as they're not, trafficking children or doing that whole white slavery bit, I don't really think it's anybody's business. Again, this is really smart for Dynamite. They recognize that, hey, there's a niche crowd that probably hasn't heard of Vampirella, and that might be able to boost their sales. And right now, again, that money will probably, let's say that Vampirella gets popular, you might be able to bring more freelancers on board. And hey, you might not be able to get the big names, but you might find like a Diamond LaRuff in there somewhere. There might be an artist that's got talent, and they see like, oh, hey, if this guy can get his own Vampirella cover, maybe I can get my own Vampirella cover. Again, it's a smart move, smart program for Dynamite, and I wish Marvel and DC would pick up on that again, it's a win-win for everybody, regardless of if you agree with those people or not. And again, Comicsgate is one of those internet movements where it could be very divisive on where you fall into that. But at the end of the day, comic books or any sort of publishing, at the end of the day, it's just all business. So trying to regulate who you can and cannot do business with only just shrinks the market, and that isn't good for anybody.
Yeah, Comicsgate money spends just as good as everybody else's money. It's all green, and it all pays the bills. So this is just silly because the industry is shrinking. Yes, we did have record amounts of growth, up to 1.2 billion as an industry. But that's not comic books. That's a growing market of graphic novels for young readers and YA and stuff like that. And manga is obviously growing as well. But comic books, as far as units distributed, it's shrinking. And for people that are in the industry to go out there and try to hurt the industry itself and try and get rid of a publisher, as if we have too many publishers right now that are willing to pay creators out of spite of all things. It's beyond ridiculous. I can't even wrap my head around this. The money that Cecil is paying to Dynamite is going to go to their creators, whether he agrees with them or not. That money is going to go to Mark Russell. That's going to go to other people at Dynamite. So for them to speak out as if this is a poor decision, it's not like there's a lot of titles over at Dynamite that are rolling in the dough right now. Basically, anything to do with Vampirella, which is obviously Christopher Priest right now, and some of the other, Red Sonja type stuff, those do sell pretty well for Dynamite. But it's not like there's an artist or a creator over there that's just so in demand that they're just producing money hand over fist for Dynamite. They need money.
I'm right with you there, bud. It makes no sense to me what the outrage is. It's on Kickstarter, it's on Indiegogo, so they're not forcing anybody to buy it. They're not forcing retailers to carry this thing. So again, it's hitting a niche group. It's making the company money that's going to go back and pay creators, and it's making a creator who is relatively unknown to the general public off of Twitter a little bit more famous. I really don't see the problem with it. Whether or not you like these people or not, it's a win-win for everybody. The more growth we have in comics as a whole, and I've said this before, we're like a very small ecosystem, and we really need to do better about taking care of that small ecosystem and making sure that we don't stay stagnant and that we grow and not shrink. So it's just one of those things where it's really a win-win for anybody. If you don't like it, you're not forced to pick it up. You don't have to have it. It's helping out. It's helping one publisher stay afloat, which is something we really need right now, and it's helping a new creator get a name out.
Diamond, obviously when they shut down, they changed their payout schedule. These publishers aren't getting the money that they were supposed to have gotten from Diamond by now. I'm sure a lot of them are in hard times. We know that a lot of them took those PPP loans. Those bills are coming due. Those are about to expire. Hopefully they become forgivable, because they were able to retain their staff and like this. But these publishers need help. And for anyone to go out there and say, you can't associate with this person or you can't do business with them. You know what, Mark Russell? If you have a problem with Dynamite doing business with Cecil because he's associated with Eastman Skyver, you go to Dynamite and you pay their bills.
Absolutely.
Gail Simone, if you have a problem with it, you go to Dynamite, you cut the check, and you pay for all the staff work, and you keep the business afloat. Because unless you're willing to do that, I don't think you really get a say in how they run their business. Now, maybe you don't want to work for them. Fine, go somewhere else. It's not like Gail Simone and Mark Russell are selling comic books hand over fist on their name right now.
I don't think anybody's selling comics hand over fist on their name right now. I've always had a good relationship with Gail Simone, and I do appreciate her her measured approach to this, where it's like, okay, I don't have all my feelings intact right now. I'm not sure how I feel about this, so let me just wrap my brain around it. So I do appreciate how she took the time to take a step back and look more at the situation than what was getting thrown in her face. But again, at the end of the day, if it makes the publisher money, if it keeps them afloat, and that helps out not just, the big name creators, but the smaller creators who are trying to break into the industry and get their stuff out there. It's a win-win for everybody. As long as people, like I've always said this, like when people are crowdfunding comics, right? If you don't deliver on your promise, that doesn't just hurt you. That hurts, the next Ethan Van Sciver campaign. That hurts the next Jawbreaker campaign. That hurts the next Brian Ball campaign if I ever decide to do it Indiegogo. So we all need to kind of just, get over this, wrong think sort of mentality and be like, and look at everything in more positive light. Do I like that person? No. Is this going good for the industry? Yes. Is this going to help me out somewhere in the future? It might. And if you just take the positives out of it and not just, well, I don't like the way this person acts on social media, so screw them, and that company should just go under because they worked with somebody I didn't like on social media. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. If that's the norm, then absolutely nothing would ever get done.
You have military experience. Obviously, I was in the Air Force for quite a long time. I've worked with a ton of people that I didn't like. In fact, I went to Afghanistan in a very dangerous environment, and I worked with people I didn't really like very much. But we had to trust each other, and we had to work together in that situation, just to come home and stuff like this. So these people that think that the worst thing that ever happened is because Ethan Van Sciver said something they didn't like, or made a joke that they didn't like, or Cecil made a joke that he didn't like. I don't think Cecil's funny. If you like Cecil, great. I don't think he's all that funny, but people do like him. They're willing to give him money just because someone says something you don't like, or they represent something that you don't appreciate. You're in this together. The industry is shrinking, and if you can't get your head around it, if being an activist through your work is so important to you that you're willing to let an entire industry with an 80-year history die because you want to stick it to Ethan Van Sciver, or you want to ensure that no one will ever work with him again, that is so beyond petty, and it's so short-sighted for everyone involved. Yes, you have young creators like yourself, but we have other young, inspiring creators that haven't even tried to make it into the industry yet, and you're just going to kill it off over petty grievances that have nothing to do with anything really important at the end of the day.
Agreed. I've been in Iraq, and I've worked with people who, man, I swear, like, I've told myself, like, man, if that dude ever got hit, I would not help him. I would just let him bleed out. But you end up like just helping anybody regardless, because that's the right human thing to do. And like it or not, Ethan Van Sciver has inspired so many people to go out and create their own work, which, hey, that's sort of revitalized the industry. That blew up. That made Indiegogo blew up. That's made Kickstarter blow up, Like it or not. I don't find Cecil funny, but he's got his audience. I also don't find Amy Schumer funny, but she's got her audience. So I'm not going to go out there and cancel Amy Schumer, and I'm not going to go out there and try to cancel, Cecil. Whether or not I like it funny, I wish him the most. I wish him the best success. I hope things work out for him. And I know that his success doesn't just, it's not just good for him, but it's good for the next guy. It's good for me. It's good for everybody. And if that makes, the industry better, I'm willing to just say, like, yeah, sure. Like, he may say jokes that aren't funny to me, but hey, look, that brings more people into comics. So I know if like, hey, if like people have found me because like, hey, I joined I was looking at this Brian Polito thing, and then all of a sudden I got this message from Indiegogo, and it's like, oh, hey, look, there's this Rags thing, let me check that out. So people's success isn't just for them, it helps the whole community out. And the thing, and just tossing away like 80 years of history and hard work, that's absolutely ridiculous. Without that 80-year history of Superman, we wouldn't have like the Christopher Reeve Superman, one of the most beloved Supermen of all time. Think if we just threw away the 80-year history of Captain America, you wouldn't have Chris Evans reaching out to that kid who saved his sister, and as Captain America reaching out to that kid and saying, you did good work, here's a shield. There's so much good that just can come from comics if we just take a step back, stop trying to politicize and make everything an activist statement, and just look for the positiveness of it and just bring people together.
And here's something else to kind of consider. You have a lot of these industry pros, the established ones, they're all about protecting the industry and keeping it as small and as tight knit as possible, and just shrinking the audiences and removing people that they don't appreciate as far as your money's no good here because I don't like the way you think. Whereas you have people like Cecil or Ethan Van Sciver, they're out there doing YouTube. Their audience transcends comics. I guarantee you there are people that read comics today because they discovered them through Ethan Van Sciver's YouTube channel because they connected with him and it turned out that he was selling comics. Maybe they got interested and finally they were exposed to the medium, and now that they buy comics, whether you want to admit it or not, and I don't even know if this is his plan, but he's certainly trying to expand the audience because he's getting reach out that goes beyond the people that are reading comic books today. I guarantee you Mark Russell doesn't do that. Gail Simone might when she was doing her blog and things like that. I don't even know if she does that anymore. Certainly Ryan Higgins with his comic shop, I doubt that he's putting a lot of money out there to go and expand comic book audiences, to go out there and reach further than the audience that he already has, to just throw that stuff away and just say, you know what, it doesn't matter that there are people out there that have discovered another way to reach audiences, to bring new customers in, because comic books need that more than anybody, to just throw all of that away for petty grievances. And because you don't even want to acknowledge what they've accomplished is beyond infuriating.
Yeah, I'm right with you, but like it or not, Ethan Van Sciver's put in the work. He was doing the Rosetico doll thing. I wasn't a fan of that, but hey, that brought people together, and that exposed more people to. Yeah, people enjoyed it. It brought people together. And when he launched his Cyberfrog thing, he had an audience that wasn't just people who were fans of his Green Lantern run. And if it was just people who were fans of his Green Lantern run, it probably would have been a much smaller funded campaign. But he brought people in who were part Star Wars. He brought people in who were part love the Green Lantern run. And somewhere in the middle, he brought in even more people. Again, like it or not, like his jokes, like his content, he brought people together, and he brought more eyes and more people who, again, normally wouldn't read comics. We're like, hey, you know what? This guy makes some content that I enjoy. I'm going to check out his comic book. And then if he has a friend or another creator that he says like, hey, I like this guy. This guy is putting out a book. They're going to go and fund that book. And it's just like this snowball effect of, again, like you like the creator on a personal level or not, it's irrelevant. But you have more people going in and looking for more comics that they can go ahead and buy. And that's, again, nothing but good for everybody at the end of the day. Because the more people buying comics, the more people interested in comics, the better for everybody.
Absolutely. We need money in the industry right now more than ever. And just to villainize that, it blows my mind. Brian, I think we both made our point here today, whether you like even the Van Sciver, whether you like Cecil, whether you like some of these people that are crowdfunding their comics, they have an audience. They're bringing people in. And if they enjoy those books, they're not going to stop with that Indiegogo campaign or that Kickstarter campaign. They're likely going to go buy other comic books and infuse cash in the industry. People need that. And they're certainly doing a better job of that than a vast majority of comic pros today. And that's just the way it is, whether they like it or not.
Yeah. I'll just say one thing. Like on my Patreon Discord, we have a crowdfunding channel, and I'm just scrolling through that right now, and I see stuff for like LaFay #3. Was this Jungle Comics, plot holes from
Sean Gordon Murphy.
Yep, Sean Gordon Murphy's plot holes, White Widow. And there's just so many more just crowdfunded books that people just like, hey, this was cool. I like this. Check this out. And my other patrons like, oh, hey, that's awesome. I'm gonna check that out. I have people have posted Cyberfrog in here. I'm just like, yeah, go for it. Again, as long as that community is still hold together and you can come together just from reading books, it's whatever. I have stuff from Billy Tushy. I know there's some people that don't like Billy Tushy. But yeah, again, it blows my mind, trying to make the industry smaller for just a group that, yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna die on the world's smallest anthill by the time it's all over to protect the industry from people they don't like.
Right, and again, like them or not, these people, whether they're reading my stuff or they're reading EVS's stuff, they're gonna share that with somebody, and and that customer's like, hey, if you liked EVS's stuff, why don't you check this out? And it does better for everybody at the end of the day.
Absolutely. All right, well, Brian, I really do appreciate and hopefully we'll have you back on the channel soon.